It is ready.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, before we get started, I wanted to just let everyone know I've got until 11 o'clock for the meeting today.
Okay.
Good news is the Builders Association has made a recommendation to Mayor Lucas for Augie Huber, retired president of A.L. Huber, to become the main representative for the Builders Association. So we're waiting for that official appointment, and we're hoping to have Augie in place for the July 8th meeting.
Great. Ask Augie to give me a call if you would, please. Okay, today is June 10th, 2021. The time is 10:30 a.m. The Fairness and Construction Board meeting will come to order. I'm going to ask everyone if they will, if the clerk would call the roll.
Director Flanagan. Don Greenwell.
Here.
Robert Lohman.
Present.
Joseph Mabin.
Present.
Sarah McCreevy.
Present.
Gabe Perez.
Here.
And then Sonia Garapati.
Ray Malone, Chairman of the Board.
Present, Sonia.
Okay, we have a quorum. I'm going to ask the board if they will read through the minutes and for any questions or comments. If not, I'll entertain a motion to accept it as written. Unless there are questions.
I would move that we accept the minutes as presented.
Don Greenwell, second.
Has been moved and second to accept the minutes as written. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, sorry.
Greenwell.
Aye.
Lohman.
Aye.
Mabin.
Aye.
McCreevy.
Aye.
Perez.
Aye.
I have
The
5
minutes,
ayes, 0 nays.
The minutes have been moved and approved. At this time, we're going to go directly into the project set today, so I'll turn this portion over to the Human Relations Department for the project set today. Who'll be presiding for Human Relations?
The individual compliance officer will present each project. Itzel, who was the first one up?
Rio.
For the first. Now, are you making a change where you're asking the department to do their presentation, or is HR going to call for them?
HRD is presenting the project, but the individual compliance officer should be presenting their own. I don't see Rio on the call. So who is the second project?
Okay, Rio is she's logging on now. She was having an issue. This is Andrea Dorch speaking.
Okay.
I just spoke with her. She's logging on now. So if you want to go with the next, kind of go out of order until she gets on.
Okay, go with project number 2.
That one is also Rio's, and number 3 is Mark. That's on the line.
Okay, presenter number 2 from HR.
I believe presenter number 2 is also Rio. Mark, are you on the line? You can do your project. It's number 3. Is he not on either, Rio? Do you see him?
I don't see him. If you guys want to move down to number 4, that is Mr. Thomas.
Okay, Thomas Randolph, Human Relations Department, project number 81000-840, relief, sewer, Vineyard Drive and Lawn Avenue. Estimated cost, $5,393,040. And this is a water services department. And we have a person that has not presented before, but we welcome Ben McCabe. Mr. McCabe, are you there?
I am here. How are you guys doing today?
So we asked that you present the project to the board. You have the floor.
Okay, I was hoping to listen to some other ones, but I'll get started. Thank you for allowing me to present the project today. I'll be really quick, but I'll show you an image. There is an overview of our project. So a majority, can you guys see that?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
The majority of the project is located in Vineyard Park. It's roughly at 43rd and Emmanuel Cleaver Boulevard. We're proposing to upsize about 3,500 feet of existing sewer to 42-inch pipe, and the goal is to reduce the amount of sewer overflows that's happening in that stream there through the park. So the project's about $5.4 million. Some of the major items of work are the combined sewer, the 42-inch pipe, manhole installation, there's bypass pumping. There's some structures at the very beginning of the project and our connection at the very end. There's potentially 2 jack and bores, one under Emmanuel Cleaver Boulevard and one through the playground area in the park there. And then, of course, this site is tricky, that it's very topographic. There's a lot of trees, so the earthwork and the restoration are going to be two other important components of the work. Couple of challenges. We need to have the trees cleared by March, into March of next year, to avoid the Indiana bat season. I mentioned the topography. It's heavily treed gully. The earthwork and there's rock excavation is another challenge. And the last challenge for us has been the coordination with the Parks Department, working with them on what to do in the playground area and the tree canopy preservation. The administrative regulation that was just signed by the city manager has been another challenge. So with that, that's everything I had to present, and I will turn it back over to Thomas. So.
Okay. The project leader recommended 11 and 7 with various work and all of the scopes of work. He recommended 11 and 7. And after reviewing the project, HRD is recommending 11 and 9. And we basically agree with all of the different types of scopes of work that are available, but we combine or single item a lot of the work as the board has recommended in the past, and we want to be consistent with that. And all of those are self-explanatory with work in the M area, pipe and soil, sewer concrete, manhole work. I'm sorry. Manhole work and connecting the sewers and working with the tie-ins, hauling, stage, and removing some of the vegetation. All that would be done in the M side, and on the W side, we worked in the estimated fill, some of the tree removal, restoration of the park after the work is done, and handling the permits and traffic control with a change from 7 to 9. So HRD is recommending 11 and 9. That concludes our presentation.
Thank you. Board, questions, comments, corrections? He's a new guy.
Mr. Maven, this is Bob Lohman. I have a question for HRD.
Yes.
I'm curious, you did a good job of full line item costing with the exception of you added $20,000 into the 42-foot fiber reinforced pipe and soil category. What does that represent?
I'm sorry, I can barely hear you. Repeat that.
The $20,000 for 42-inch fiber reinforced pipe and soil, what is that for?
Is that at the top?
Yes.
Oh, I see what you're saying. It should have been, well, his original amount was 44,272, and he I believe it wasn't correct for it to be that amount. It should have, in the W, he had 42,555. Yeah, take it. And so I just made the change for him at 44,272.
No, I'm asking about the line item above that, Thomas.
Thomas, you get that?
No,
He's
I
talking
didn't.
about the line item. He's talking about the line item above the one that you were just referencing.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah, that was that probably shouldn't be there. Oh, I know it shouldn't be. Okay. So that should be reduced by 20,000. Sorry about that.
Well, there's plenty of availability in other areas.
Right.
There's typographical errors, that one on your part. But do you want to address with a young man from the water department, this is his first project, about the line item in which you spoke of and the others on down the line to help him for the future?
Sure,
anyway.
I will. Yes, and I did already brief him on that, so he should be okay, but I'll revisit the conversation.
Yeah, you don't have to do it right now.
Yes,
you know how
sure.
we segment, and this is not proper segmentation. If HR would reach out to the water department and their estimated department to make those type of corrections, due to the time frame that we have here, are there any other questions on this project? If there are no other questions, I'll entertain a motion.
What does the 20,000 do to the 11 and 9?
Mr. Chairman, Perez, are we just talking about eliminating the 20,000, or are we going to move that 1.5 over into the MB or WB column?
Well, the way that it's set, I don't know where it could go in that line item itself. How would the contractor segment that out? We're not used to segmenting out like that. I see plenty of other areas where it could have been dropped in and been very legitimate in both the M and WB side. Do you have any preference?
Well, I just noted that in the department's breakdown, they provide for a partial participation under MBE. I'm just wondering what the rationale there was, and if that's, something that we're still going to consider.
Okay. Well, he said that he would pull it out. What would that change? What would that do to the 11% go? If you would pull that out of the 609,938, what would that adjustment be? HR or Gabe? I don't have a calculator handy.
Well, I don't think it ultimately changes the percentage.
Yeah, this is Sonia. I did the math. It's still 11.2%.
Okay, all right, great. So availability is there in other areas. Again, this is a document that we use. This is not telling the contractor how to bid the project. This is just for availability purposes. Once again, are there any other questions? If there be no other questions, we're gonna leave that 20,000 where it's at. Is there a motion? Any other discussion?
Mr. Chair, this is Bob Lohman. I would move to accept HRD's recommendation of 11 and 9.
Thank you. Yeah, I have
will
a second.
that. I'll second that,
It's
Mr.
been
Chairman.
moved. Thank you. It's been moved and second to accept HRD's recommendation of 11 and 9. All in favor by the roll.
I'm sorry, before I call the roll, who seconded? I didn't catch their name.
That's Perez.
Jay Perez.
Thank you. Okay, Greenwell,
Aye.
Lohman,
Aye.
Maidman,
Aye.
McGreevy,
Aye.
Perez.
Aye.
I have 5 ayes, 0 nays.
Ayes have it. The project has been approved with a goal setting of 11 and 9. Next project, please. I want to go back to the first one. Is there anyone here to represent for project number 1? If not, we'll move on to the added project number 5. Is there anyone here from the water department, aviation department?
Yes, good morning. This is Mike Waller, Senior Planner with the Aviation Department.
Okay,
Morning.
HRD, you want to take over from here? HR?
Yes, if you could give me one moment. This is Rio. I apologize for joining late, and I was actually ready to move on to Jazz Hill Home. So let me bring up that aviation project. Here we go. And this is for the virtual ramp control system, and it is project cost at 5.3 million. And if I'm sorry, was that Kevin Wells on the line from aviation? If you want to go ahead and proceed.
No, Rio, this is Mike Waller, Senior Planner, Aviation.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mike. Hello.
Oh, you're good. You're fine. You're good. Good morning. Thank you. I'd like to present the project virtual ramp control system. This is project number 622105545. This project will provide for all of the hardware and software equipment needed for a VRCS for the new KCI terminal modernization project. The company who will serve as the owner will be a third-party vendor and will need to have experience with installing and operating the newest virtual airfield management system. And this system manages, organizes the flow of aircraft and traffic between the movement and non-movement areas. In addition, basically what that means is it's directing air traffic on the ground between the new terminal building and the airfield, including the runways and the taxiways. This system will also provide information and support to pilots, provide aircraft de-icing, aircraft de-icing management, as well as gate management services, i.e. Basically gate queuing and directing those aircraft to the appropriate gate. This system is the third or will be the fourth operational within the United States. There are 2 other ramp control systems currently in use at Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport in South Miami, or actually South Florida. The second is George Bush Intercontinental Airport outside of Houston. And there's a third at Orlando International that will be online in the near future. What I'd like to do is introduce Terry Cassidy. He is the project executive for Pasley Management Group, or PMG. PMG is the owner's rep for the aviation department for this project. And I'd like to go ahead and turn it over to he and his staff to further discuss some of the estimated cost breakdowns and scopes of work.
Thank you.
Good morning, it's Terry Cassidy. we are the city's owner's rep on this project, and we are managing the procurement for the city. We went through, because this is a really highly specialized type system, we went through what we believed was required to design and install this system. Because they are so unique, as Mike said, there's only 2 currently in operation in the United States. We did not see that there was a significant amount of opportunity on this. So we went through the estimate and put numbers to what we thought would be available for local procurement or local vendors to provide to the company installing this system. So that was what we proposed, and HRD had slightly higher numbers. So.
Is that the end of your presentation?
Yes, if there's any questions, I can answer any questions you may have. This actually,
okay.
when the original program goals for the new terminal project were put together, there were a number of items that were excluded from participation. This was not one of those things, because at the time we thought we were actually going to build a ground control tower as part of the construction building. Later, it was discovered that because of line of sight issues for the air traffic control tower, we couldn't actually build that. So we were having to install a virtual system, which will be operated 100% by cameras and using some of the air traffic control information that we can get from the FAA. So it's essentially air traffic control, except it's for aircraft on the ground. So that's what the system is going to do.
Thank you. HRD, how do you see the project? Is there anyone from HRD?
Unmute, Rio.
Can you?
I see Rio. It appears that she might be speaking. Is she on mute, perhaps?
No, I'm sorry. I got kicked off, so I just rejoined. Okay. Sorry, got kicked off again. I'm having connectivity issues, obviously. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. We did find slightly higher availability, or we just kind of moved some things around there, but we did find availability. My understanding is that the scopes of work that we found availability for were here in the actual creation of the room that will be used for the virtual ramp control system. And that would include cabling to cameras,
talking with you soon.
air
Please hold the line and we'll be right back with you.
setting up vents and grills within the room, fire protection within the room, and electrical systems within the room and without the room, outside of the room, as far as cabling to cameras, et cetera, go as needed. And we recommend goals of 11 and 5 for this project.
Thank you. Board, do you have questions of the Aviation Department or HRD?
Mr. Chair, this is Bob Lohman. I've got, I think, a question for either or both. And that's, what kind of a contractor will do this job?
As the prime?
As the prime.
As the prime, there are only 2 companies currently in the United States. Jim Ivy, do you have the names of those firms?
One of them is Saab. The other is Sea Ridge, I believe. And I believe Sea Ridge is actually out of Canada. And then Saab is a international firm. So, but both of them operate within the United States. The Saab system was recently installed under a contract with United Airlines at Bush Intercontinental.
Are they general contractors, or are they like a specialty equipment contractor?
Well, they are the two companies that actually have developed and perfected the virtual ramp control system. So we were out to bid with them, and then they will seek out other contractors to do their work as far as the build out of their ramp control office. It's a space that within the terminal is only 1,735 square feet. So they will seek out, local companies to build out the ramp control office, as well as install their specialized equipment, and also do the cabling out to the cameras. And then they also provide the cameras.
Okay, and so I understand that. So how much is building out that server room as a part of that? I'm assuming that's included in the 4.4 million. That's all called specialty equipment, but if there's room construction or server room construction, that would be carpentry work or general contracting work.
Yes, so we the project is delivering a warm white box to them. So there's not a lot of construction. There may be some HVAC work to put in a VAV box or something, and then other than that, there's whatever cabling they need inside that room, and cabling to
so it's a prefabricated module that they put the equipment in and then take it to the job site?
They will bring in millwork and things like that they will install their system into.
Okay. Maybe it's just me that's confused, but.
No, I don't think so.
We are delivering to them a warm white box, and then they are coming in and installing equipment into it.
Who's providing the white box?
Okay, this is Mr. Ivy. I am sharing with you the footprint of the room. So what we are delivering to them is this shell space. It's what we refer to as a white box. So it'll have all the walls in place. They will come in and do what air conditioning needs to be. Air conditioning distribution needs to be done within this space. They'll put in whatever sprinkler system needs to be done within this space. They'll finish out the electrical installation. So understand the walls within this space, on their side of it, is just a metal stud. And so they'll finish that out, and then there's a little bit of a break area over here with the sink and countertop. But so they'll just finish out the space, and then what they will do is, if you're familiar with or have seen equipment that goes into an air traffic control tower, all of that equipment will come in and be set out here in the middle of the room, and then they'll have TV screens that create basically a 180-degree surround around that equipment, which projects the images that the cameras are seeing, and then there's an operator here at the console that's talking to the aircraft, and then monitoring the cameras and providing direction to aircraft coming in and going out. So does that help?
Yes.
Are there any other questions? If there are no other questions, I'll entertain a motion.
Well, this is Bob Lohman again. It seems pretty ambitious that 100% of the subcontracted work would be subcontracted with a minority or women business enterprise.
Okay.
Just a comment.
Well, I see what you're saying, Bob, because it appears as though there's going to be work that's going to be performed within the white box that is not shown here.
Correct.
Online, but is included in that $4.4 million. So if that's the case, are you suggesting that some of that build-out work should include minority and women enterprises inside of that 4.4, since all of that, now that it's known that all of that work is not going to be specialty work? If I'm reading you correctly, Bob.
Yes. So, and that's my, what I don't understand, Ray, is how much, what's the value of that build out work within that white warm cell or whatever, white warm box. Is it $50,000 or is it $1.2 million? I don't know. I'm suspecting not 1.2 million. I can't quite get my head wrapped around what the total subcontracting opportunity is for either of those two contractors. So I'm reluctant to weigh in on a recommendation because I don't understand what the total subcontracting opportunity is.
I understand. So if we see a portion of opportunities that's listed below, that's not the concern.
Nope.
All of those items will be within that box area, but what else is included in that box?
This is Greg Jones. I'm a project manager with PMG, and I can speak to that $4.4 million number. The vast majority of that is specialty equipment and software services to set up the equipment. There's very little in there as far as like furniture. These rooms, basically they'll have drywall on them, carpeting, but we'll just have furniture otherwise. There's not a lot in the rooms themselves. So the number's quite small as far as the actual finishes. We separated out the bigger items, the HVAC, fire protection, electrical, and cabling, because they were the more substantial numbers. It's the actual finishes inside the room are very small number. That's why we lumped it all into that 4.4 million. The vast majority of that is highly specialized equipment and software services.
Hello, this is Sonia. I have a question. So the white box is already existing inside the new KCI terminal. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
So this just includes finishing that space. So the white box is already there. Everything you showed in the drawing is already there. This just includes finishing that space and including all that specialty equipment, the HVAC, fire protection, electrical, cabling, all that stuff necessary to finish that space for this equipment. Is that correct?
Yes, in addition, we're installing cameras out on the airfield in different locations and running cabling to that as well. So those are both included as well. So it's not 100% in the room. There is some work outside the room.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions? Do we feel we have enough information? If we do, then I will entertain a motion to accept the Aviation Department, HRD, or the board's recommendation. It's in your hands.
Mr. Chair, I recommend the Human Relations Department's goals of 11 and 5.
It's been recommended by Mr. Maven to accept HRD's goals of 11 and 5. Is there a second?
I would second, Mr. Chairman,
It's
Perez.
been second by Gabe Perez. Motion carries. The goals are set at 11 and 5.
Whoa,
Next
whoa, whoa,
project.
whoa, 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 whoa. We got to vote.
Oh, that's right. Just
Details,
because we
details.
have an approval, we might ought to have a vote. Somebody might be against it. Okay, clerk, call the roll. Sorry about that.
Greenwell,
Aye.
Loman,
Nay.
Maven,
Aye.
McGreevy,
Nay.
Perez.
Aye.
I have 3 ayes, 2 nays.
Ayes have it. Project carries at 11 and 5. Next project.
Okay, this is Rio again, and I'm following along here that we're at project 608-10102, citywide supplemental workforce waste for wastewater. It is contract number 1637. And do we have anyone here from Water Services Department to discuss?
Yes, Paul South of the Kansas City Water Services.
Thank you, Paul. You have the floor.
Thank you. Good morning, board. This project before you is for a annual maintenance contract for sewer line repairs. It is a citywide contract. It is used predominantly for mainline sewer repairs, manhole raising and manhole installation, and sewer lateral repairs. And this contract is one of our primary contracts for emergency sewer repairs that we have at the water department.
Thank you, Paul. This is Rio again, if you're ready to proceed. We did segment out manhole repairs in the total of $200,000. There is sufficient M and WBEs that do this type of work. So our recommended goal for the MBE is 10%. For site restoration and excavation, again, sufficient numbers there, and we are recommending a goal of 7% WBE. The prime contractor for this project will most likely be a company that installs sewer and water lines, and it's very likely that that company would be self-performing some of the concrete work. But there are M and WBEs available to perform concrete, repairing of the water sewer lines, and if sodding and seeding is needed, even though it wasn't listed as a scope of work, if it's needed for site restoration, again, there's sufficient M's and WBEs that are certified in that scope of work. And our recommendation is 10 and 7. Historically, we found other similar projects, similar prices. WSD 1208, the prime contractor was Genesis. Contract amount was $3 million, and that contract closed at 6 and 9, but that was in 2016. And a more recent one that closed in 2019 was the sewer line repair, again, Genesis Plumbing. And those scopes of work included concrete, sodding, seeding, traffic control, and pipe cleaning. So again, a little different from what was required for this project, but there is sufficient M's and W's to do these scopes of work.
Okay. HRD?
I'm sorry, that was me, HRD.
Oh, okay. All right. Sorry about that. Board, you have questions of the department or HRD? No questions. I'll entertain a motion.
Let's see the thing that I put.
Are there any questions?
Mr. Chairman, Gabe Perez, they probably answered this already, but annual maintenance contract, will we be looking at this again in a year, or?
No, it has 2 renewals with it.
Two
That's what we're
renewals?
working on. Yes.
What do you think about that? Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve both the departments and HRD's recommendation of 10 and 7.
This motion to accept the department's recommendations of 10 and 7. Is there a second?
This is Greenwell, second.
Don Greenwell seconds the motion. Good clerk, call the roll.
Greenwell,
Aye.
Lohman,
Aye.
Maben,
Aye.
McGreevy,
Aye.
Perez.
Aye.
I have 5 ayes, 0 nays.
Ayes carries it. Project goal is sit at 10 and 7. Project, please.
Itzhak, can you tell me, are we ready for Jazz Hill Homes now?
We're on project number 3, which is Mark. I don't know if he's available or on the
I'm
line.
This is Tom. I will be presenting for Mark, if you all are ready.
Go with it, Tom. And Jazz will be next.
Project number 81000976, Blue River Grid Screen Influent Pumping 60-inch piping repair. The estimated cost is 1.8 million, and this is a Water Services Department project. Is someone from Water Services on the line, please?
Yeah, I am. Good morning. My name is Kevin White with the Water Services Department. Thank you guys for taking some time to look at this project this morning. For this particular project, we've got 2 existing 60-inch force mains that are beneath the Blue River wastewater treatment plant that convey, influent from the Blue River into the grit basins. There's approximately 2,000 linear feet that are below ground within a utility corridor. Got piping, nuts, studs associated with all of that that were originally installed back in 1965 during the original plant construction. At that time, they were coated with an asbestos liner system to help with some humidity issues that they have in that corridor. Over the course of the last 65 years, that liner system has failed. It has not been replaced at any time in that period. So right now we're dealing with a failure of the liner system, and also the studs and nuts that connect the piping are also close to failure, which is sort of the impetus for this project. One other thing to point out with this particular project, it's going to be completed while the pipes are still in service. We have taken a look at doing it while the pipes are offline, but due to some cost and volume flow restrictions with this particular working environment, we deem that to be infeasible. So it will be completed with the pipes still being online. That's sort of an overview. If you guys have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer those for you.
You ready for my report?
Yes.
Okay. The prime contractor for this project will most likely be a utilities contractor. There's good availability of MWBE firms in the directory and almost all of the scopes of work for the project. This is a design build project, so the prime contractor will probably be subbing the design work if an engineering firm is not the prime. HRD is segregating 25% of the design work for MBE, WB participation, but there are other areas that participation could be obtained. The prime contractor will probably look at the asbestos remediation and sandblasting and the coatings for the MBE, WB participation. The department is recommending goals of 23 M and 7W, so they may already have selected a prime contractor for the project and the scopes of work for the M and W's participation also to be appear to already be selected for sandblasting, asbestos, and remediation. And some of the design work are segmented on the department's cost breakdown. HRD segmented the asbestos abatement for both the M and W in order to take the entire scopes, but HRD does not usually set goals as high as 20-30% for either M or W participation as the department has done. There is availability in sandblasting, coating, design, and utility work, and there may be availability in the testing to determine the pipe's thickness. Mark said he also had one MBE say that they provide ultrasonic testing, Genesis, which is Genesis Environmental. One area of confusion is that the department has indicated that it will be sandblasting, there will be sandblasting used, but elsewhere they indicated there will be water blasting. There does appear to be M and W availability in water blasting as well as sandblasting. The fact that the repairs are large, is a large 60-inch pipe indicates this project does include some specialized work, and the prime contractor would probably be doing the pipe repairs itself. HRD was unable to find similar pipe repair projects. A lot of the underground utility contracts may include some pipe repairs as well as pipe installation. And the WTP and the WWTP renovation projects may also include pipe repairs, but those types of scopes of work, as well as most of these projects, are not design projects, design build projects. So HRD is recommending 12 MBE and 12 WBE in the areas of design, 12,000 for the M, and asbestos 200,000, which gives us 12%. And on the W side, 8,000 in design and 200,000 in asbestos abatement, which gives us 12%. So we are recommending 12 and 12 for this project, and that concludes our presentation on this project.
Thank you. Board, is there any questions?
I'd like to ask a question. This is McGreevy. Just from what I've noticed on the department use, when there's a scope of work, it doesn't seem that there's ever any rotation. Like if you look at this asbestos abatement, $415,000, it automatically gets put in the M column. There's never any sort of, in the next project, we'll put it in the W column because we're going to rotate back and forth. We have a disparity study that says 14.4 and 14.7 and 14.4. But if we're always putting those single scopes into the M column, where does the W get caught up? Because in looking at HRD's breakdown, unless these aren't two different facilities, are they?
They are not.
So is any asbestos subcontractor going to be willing to do this with another asbestos subcontractor? Because that's a hazardous material to start with. So what prime is going to want to bring two of them aboard? I mean, if there ends up being a problem with the asbestos, who's going to want to do that?
Well taken.
Right. Yeah. So that I do recognize that's why Water Services had put all of that into the one bucket with the M. I do recognize the opportunity or the desire, to rotate in between M and W. But I do recognize that that is an issue with the nature of asbestos abatement, hazardous material, just having, two different sets of crews down there is a challenge.
And Blake Anderson, KC Water. The reason we went with M and not W for asbestos abatement is at least when we went through the directory, we only saw one asbestos abatement for W and we saw multiple for M. So that was the logic behind that determination.
And it looks like HRD was able to come up with more because they were able to say we could get participation in both columns.
HRD located 2 M's and 2 W according to the document. Yes, 2 M's and 2 W's.
Going back to the water department, we like to segment things and put them into one scope. I haven't saw the drawings, don't know what it's like, don't know how far apart each one of these areas would be, or is this a part of one whole as far as asbestos abatement is concerned?
Is it
separate rooms?
No, they're mainly most of the runs they're basically in parallel to each other. In some cases, they might be on the separate side of a basement structure in our pump station. In others, they're maybe 5 or 6 feet apart.
Mainly on pipes?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Tom,
yes.
Are you seeing the rationale behind that where you segmented those? Yes, it is possible. But in the past, we have kind of asked that
sure
not be done. But there's a liability that's involved. If I were the contractor, even though you may have that amount, I would probably be going for one or the other in its entirety.
Sure.
And minimize my liability.
I'm looking at the notes provided by Mark, and his rationale was that there were 4 companies total, 2 M and 2 W's. And so that was his basis, I guess, based on the notes that were provided to me.
I understand. He wanted to create opportunity for both. So what do you think, board? Go ahead, Joe.
Question for the department. What have your experience been with Minardi and WB companies and their scope? Have you had this come up on any other projects where asbestos abatement's been performed by minority or women companies? Because you indicated that you knew of only one WBE and more MBE.
What's your question, Joe?
Have they worked with minority and women companies in this scope before on similar projects?
Okay.
Are we just looking at the directory, or do we have some experience with minorities and women-owned companies performing the scope?
Water department, that's directed back at you.
Yeah, I'm trying to think through on that. I think we have in the past. On that case, we do generally like to check the directory and look through to see to make sure we have firms that are not just the ones we've done previous work with. And generally also looking at this job, asbestos abatement seemed to be one of the logical sub-outs for the type of general contractor us and HRD thought to do. So that was one of the places to look at and review the MBWB directory on it. Kevin, do you remember which firms we'd caught on the WB side? I think the M side was Genesis. The W side I think was Genesis. Do you remember what the M was?
I have them on the.
Oh, thank you, Dwayne.
On the MBE side, it was Genesis and K&S Associates.
Okay.
And on the W side, it was New Horizon Enterprises and Thunder Abatement.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with Thunder Abatement. I think we've done work with New Horizons and Genesis from time to time.
Okay, board, it's in your hands.
I was going to say, Mr. Chair, this is McGreevy. I'd like to make a motion.
Okay.
I would present 7% M and 23% W.
There's a motion on the floor to have 7% MBE and 23% WBE. Is there a second? If there's no second, we'll go back into further discussion. Board, I'm looking to you. Is there anyone on the board want to step up?
Mr. Chairman, this is Perez. I would make a comment first and say that the contractor, the prime award-winning contractor, has the right to choose any MB or WB as they see fit, as long as they keep in mind the goals that we set. We could make arguments all day whether it ought to be in the MB or WB column, but it's our role to make sure it's fair and equitable based on the capacity of those firms listed in the directory that are certified for those scopes. Therefore, a long-winded statement, but I would recommend that we accept HRD goals of 12 and 12.
There's a recommendation on the floor by Gabe Perez to accept HRD's goals of 12 and 12. Is there a second?
Lohman seconds.
And it's been moved second by Bob Lohman. All in favor? Board?
Greenwell?
HRD, call the roll.
Greenwell? He might have
I
popped
believe,
off.
I believe Mr. Greenwell is gone.
Greenwell's
Okay.
gone.
Lohman?
Aye.
Mabin?
Aye.
McGreevy?
Nay.
Perez?
Aye.
I have 3 ayes, 1 nay.
Ayes have it. Project goals are sit at 12 and 12. Okay, we had a project that was added to the agenda for today. Does everyone have the new project, Jazz Hill Homes? Or do you, each one of the board members have that? If you do not have it, let me know. If not, there's no response back, we're going to go back to HRD for project number 2021-0021. Jazz Hill Homes.
Okay, this is Rio again, and with Jazz Hill Homes, estimated cost is $12,756,451. And as you can see, there's quite a few scopes of work. The only one we did not find any availability was in supplier for doors, frames, and hardware. Otherwise, we have segmented out 18% for MBE and 12% for WBE. It is an economic development project, and so I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to neighborhood or CCED to discuss. Do we have a representative from one of those?
Yes, good morning. This is Chantrice Patillo, Housing and Community Services Development. This project is Jazz Hill Homes. It's a partnership between 12th Street Heritage and Flattery Collins Development. The project is located on the west side of Paseo, in the Paseo West neighborhood. It consists of 11 historic brick buildings, apartments between 9th and 13th Street along the Paseo. There are 197 units, 14 studios, 147 one-bedroom, and 36 two-bedroom units. The project will consist of a historic renovation of the properties, so they will be doing rehab. The developers are online if they have anything else that they want to add, Mr. Williams.
I would just say, good morning. My name is Dwayne Williams, President and CEO of 12th Street Heritage Development Corporation. The only thing I will say is that this project will be a culmination of everything that's taken place from Independence Avenue all the way down to actually to the Paseo. We will be doing the 11 buildings going all the way down on the west side of Paseo. This will actually add the beautification that's going down Paseo from the east side, which has got a great deal of attention and a lot of development on the east side of Paseo. And now we want to create that same type of synergy on the west side of Paseo, taking it all the way down. So once you get off the highway, you will see an area that's been transformed. And I think this is what we call clusters, when you start in one area and you work your way all the way down to the end of the project. And I actually believe this is the culmination of that cluster in which we've been trying to complete in the district. So that's the reason why we're here to talk about developing those 11 buildings going down Paseo. And Drew is on. If Drew has anything he wants to add, if not.
I think that's all covered it. So if any specific questions comes up, I can answer any further details.
Sure.
HR.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, sorry, I was having okay, I'm here. The goals that were recommended by the department were 18 and 7. Ours were a little bit higher at 18 and 12 on the WBE side. The project is likely to be self-performed prime general contractor. However, as you can see, there are several scopes that would support both M and WBE utilization. And there's also likely to be more than one work location running concurrent to others. So that's why you'll see that we split up some of those scopes, as there could be similar work happening at the same time.
Okay.
And with that, I'll go ahead and turn it over.
Thank you. Board questions.
Mr. Chairman, this is Perez. This project is exactly where most of our MB and WB community live. So I see availability in all the scopes, but I had a question on doors and frames from someone who made a comment about there was no supplier for doors and hardware. Then I note that the city nor the department nor the builder has put any monies in that column. Are we to believe that $657,000 represents material only? Or I don't see a carpentry line item that would address at least a portion of that amount.
Installation. Okay. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Are you saying, I understand what you're saying, but for clarification purposes, where's the installation? I mean, I've noticed there's supply, but where?
We don't show, I think it was HRD or someone that said that we didn't have any suppliers.
Right.
But obviously those doors need to be installed by someone. So then I would then look for a carpentry line item to install all those doors. I don't see one. I assume the $657,000 includes material and labor.
I'm sorry, my understanding was that the doors, frames, and hardware was for supplier only. I misunderstood that, I'm sure.
That's a lot of doors.
However,
Mike,
on plastics,
I believe we have our contractor on. Mike or Rob, could one of you give some more clarity on that line item, please?
Yeah, Drew, that it's Rob Nelson with Centric. That is the doors, frames, and hardware package material only. That does not include the labor.
And this is HRD again. I know if you look up plastics and wood, a couple line items above that at $946,773. That is for, my understanding again was for the labor to install counters and millwork, including doors and frames.
That is correct. That's where the labor for that work is included.
Did it help, Gabe?
I'm sorry.
I'm just trying to do some quick math, but
Okay.
I wanted to make sure we were looking at a true number at 657.
Yeah, I mean, that's straight off the bid day summary with the supplier bids that came in.
Yeah, I'm thinking. Just a start.
Are you running numbers, Gabe? We'll wait.
Oh, no, I was just, because I'm really considering maybe making a motion to increase the numbers, quite honestly.
Okay. That's what the board.
But you guys go ahead. I'm slow.
No. Let's get it right, Gabe. If you got something you want to add, you're the board. That's what we're here for.
Gabe, I don't know what type of numbers you're running, but I did some just kind of, this is McGreevy, basic entry off of taking HRD's numbers and then making the assumption that they actually would just subcontract with one subcontractor versus splitting the scopes. I understand that there's multiple buildings, but it's still more efficient to only have one drywall subcontractor, one flooring subcontractor. I put those numbers all into an Excel spreadsheet, and on the M, it totaled 33.59%, and on the W, it totaled 19.04%. By just taking, like, I put everything into the electrical, put it all into W, put all of specialties into W, put all of drywall into W, but then again, took all of painting and put it into the M column versus saying half of it's going to be subcontracted to a painting M company. And I think also the logic of when you have this many trades that are being subcontracted, we can support having higher numbers because there's lots of opportunity available. And we've got to try to get to what the disparity study supports.
This is an architecture project and the project where we should be able to maximize M&W participation as we have done in the past.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at it too through the same kind of lens. I don't know that I could support that high of numbers, but you know, there's 197 units here, and I don't ever like to tell a GC how to build anything or remodel anything. That's about 65 grand per unit. These will be piecemealed in some fashion. It's just hard to figure out. I'm really leaning toward even across the board at 18 and 18. Just quick math.
It's Rob.
But I'm open for ideas.
Rob with Centric again. I just wanted to ask, we were going to self-perform a lot of the work with our own carpenters, the finished carpentry and the drywall. If the GC is self-performing a big chunk of the work, does that become part of the conversation?
It does, but you're telling me you're self-performing all the carpentry packages?
That was our plan, yes.
Okay.
That doesn't bode well. That doesn't bode well, but the minority and women community where the majority of their work is where they perform. And this is the idea of the Fairness in Construction Board. Not only to be fair to the general contractor, but to that minority contracting group out there that always falls short on a large portion of the work.
Say 20 and 20.
Okay, yeah, I wanted to ask the question.
Yes, it does. It does come into play, yes.
Yeah, that would make a huge difference if they did that. So I'm open, Bob or anybody else who wants to chime in.
I'm happy to make a motion for 18 and 18. This is Lohman.
Let's do it. I need a motion on the floor.
That was my motion, Mr. Chair. Bob Lohman, 18 and 18.
Then move motion to.
I will.
Set the goal at 18 and 18. Is there a second? Is
Maven,
that
I'll
Joseph
second
Maven?
that.
And it's been seconded by Joseph Maven. Clerk, will you call the roll?
Lohman,
Aye.
Maben,
Aye.
McGreevy,
Aye.
Perez.
Aye.
I have 4 ayes, 0 nays.
Ayes have it. The project goes as set at 18 and 18. Would you make the corrections, please? Okay, that's the end of projects for today. Is there any questions on the project? 109%. Okay, we're going to move into other business. There's something that's not listed on the minutes for other minutes, but other items. I have a question. When does the end of the year reports come out for MNWBE participation to show what we've done for the last year? HRD.
Do you want those by fiscal year or
Yes,
by calendar year? Okay.
No,
I wasn't aware that.
I think you've been doing them by.
Mhm.
Go with it. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I wasn't aware that they did an end of year, but we normally go by fiscal year, so I can get you a fiscal year report sent out to the board.
Okay. Board, is that what you've been used to? Is that what we've been used to?
But we've had it in several different versions now, Mr. Chairman, but I'm agreeable to just have it, however the board feels necessary.
Fiscal year makes the most sense.
I thought we were doing fiscal year May, in May. I have to go back to my records, but that's what I thought. What's the pleasure of the board? They will report to us. What do you want? Do you want fiscal year May? You want fiscal year calendar? What's the board's pleasure?
Well,
the reason that this is coming up, I concur with the questions that's been asked as to how the participation is really coming out. What is it coming out as far as the ordinance is said? So I would like to see that myself. Ms. McGree has brought that up as a question as to how these goals are allocated. I'd like to see if we're reaching the overall goal on an annual basis.
And this is Andrea, Chairman. I just want to make a clarification. Are you saying the Human Relations Department annual report, or you mean the just for the Fairness and Construction Board annual report?
The Human Relations annual report as to what has been performed over a course of a period of time, either calendar or fiscal.
Yes, because we do have two distinct reports that are pulled. One is a fiscal report, and it is May to April, and then the other one is annual, and it is for the previous year, so January to December. And we haven't actually started that process. The person that used to do that is no longer with us. They're deceased, so we're trying to figure out how we're going to get that report completed. I've reached out to Casey Stat to see if they can help us with some of that data analysis on the official annual report for the calendar year of 2020.
All right, thank you. Is that something, board, you'd like to see?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. If you could get that to us and just kind of give us the report as to where you're at. I doubt if you could have it by next month, it would be nice. But if not, if you could give us a report, shoot us out something and let us know when we might be able to expect that.
I would say
I know there,
frame for us to
there
get
had been some concerns another reason, there has been some concerns by the city council as to how goals are set and where they're set and why they're set and what percentages are set up at. And I think that's one of the reasons we're having this 10:30 meeting, was to allow the city council the opportunity to sit in on our meetings. But I think that has happened only one time, to my knowledge, since we moved to this time. So if you could get that to us, I really would appreciate it. Next thing, we might want to consider and see where the city's at, since they've gone back to basically mostly full operations. HRD, have you guys gone back to full-time in-house?
No, and I don't anticipate doing so until probably the fall. So we'll still be doing virtual meetings. We're still upgrading and updating our equipment here in the office, as well as working with staff on official protocols. So we have not went back full operational.
Okay, thank you. Keep us abreast of that. I'm fully satisfied with where we're at for the time being. And I think it's just as effective, with the exception of me getting a chance to sign the official documents. Are there any other questions along the line of meetings or reports?
I do have a comment, Mr. Chair. I want to commend staff. I really appreciate the new and certified firms reports. They're the best we've had, and I appreciate staff's work.
Good.
And to that report, I thought it very curious that we have 15 firms that are both M and WBE firms that were certified in May. Is that a normal percentage?
This is Kim. I would say so. There's a lot of firms who do both, get both certifications. So that's about right.
You guys have been doing a fantastic job.
Thank you.
I had one additional question, Mr. Chair.
Sure.
This is
Go ahead.
On the CUP or the contractor utilization plans, have we not yet incorporated the agency submittals?
You're dealing with the CUP report that we received?
Yes, I had made a comment last month about if we could also have the agency CUPs listed on the plan.
Mr. Perez, this is Kim. We didn't have any new CUPs for the agency, so that's why you didn't see any on the report. But we did make note of that.
So are all projects ongoing? Are they complete and all their CUPs have been submitted?
For the agencies?
Yes, ma'am.
I would say probably not. I think Dion's on the phone. He could probably speak better to that. But as far as the new CUPs that come in on a monthly basis, we didn't have any for this month.
This is Maven. Our concern is, as we get through some of these projects, we found CUPs were turned in almost near final closeout. So that's the reason that we're concerned about whether or not they're coming in
Dion, if
regular
you're
basis on time.
Dion,
Yes.
if you're on, you can speak to that, please.
We had one CUP that was approved, and it will be on the next report because it was actually approved in the month of June. And yes, I am going through that process and we'll be updating accordingly on a monthly basis based upon what we have in the system and the feedback that we're getting back from the developers.
And Dion, the CUP that was approved, was it approved before work commenced on the project?
I do not believe so.
That's the problem.
So would you like a report on just the current open CUPs?
Well, I'm certainly not picking on HRD, but I think this board has a responsibility to know, now that we are setting goals on all agency projects, and all agency projects are now prevailing wage, we need to know whether or not the goals that we're setting are actually being enforced. I think it's a reasonable request.
I concur, Dave. HRD, can that be done?
What's
Right
Stanley
now
take?
we're under, I'm sorry, Kim, this is Andrea.
go
Right
ahead,
now
go
we're
ahead.
undergoing some staff changes. We're doing some merging of things and adding additional reports. We're already overtaxed. I don't know, creating new data. As I stated earlier, we lost our data analyst, so we're working in that regard. I'm working on the reorg plan, working with the Human Resources Department as well as the Finance Department, within all of these constraints, and to just add additional work to staff that's already overburdened. I think that would be unreasonable at this time. I think going forward, and once we do get staffed up, that would be something that we can add to. Just so you all know, Dion is joining the MWDBE team. I'm coordinating that and merging those divisions to try to make it more robust. So he's getting acclimated to that, in addition to working with EDC on some of the compliance efforts there. So there's a lot of changes, a lot of transitions. And right now, I don't know that that's really doable, other than causing more frustration in the board members' mind if you don't get exactly what it is that you're looking for. So we want to give you a good quality product, at the same time being able to do that with ease and accuracy.
Mr. Chair, I do not believe HRD ought to take responsibility for what the acronym agencies have failed to do for the last 20 years. This has been an ongoing problem, and it's not HRD's problem. It's all the acronym organizations that accept our tax abatements. So I don't want HRD to feel like we're leaning on them. It's just that it's frustrating that over the years we can't get them to do or exceed to the system set up by HRD to monitor.
Agreed.
Mr. Chair, I would recommend in the interim, I certainly take to heart Ms. Dortch's comments, but if we have projects out there that have not submitted CUPs for whatever reason, they ought to be at least listed on the report as CUPs not submitted yet. So we can have some visibility and we can have knowledge of these projects, whether or not they're complying with their development agreement.
You simply say, go ahead and list them on the contract utilization plan.
Yeah, if we know we've got a project out there that's been operating for 6 months and they've still failed to comply with their development agreement, which requires a CUP plan, then we ought to know about it. It's one thing to work on accurate information, but if you don't have that information, then knowledge of awareness that they have failed to comply is something that we ought to be able to monitor.
And I agree, but as we are not the contractual authority, that is an EDC function. Well, and I say EDC, that's the agency's function, is that they are supposed to monitor their own contracts as far as what compliance documents they have. We do need to figure out what's in the database, clean up that data, and then be able to see and tell you accurately whether or not they submitted a CUP or not. Because as you know, you've been around for quite a while, Mr. Perez, that you know that we may say one thing because it's actually not entered in the proper space, and then later on they come back and they say, oh no, we submitted this back in 20 17. We submitted this in 2019. We submitted this in 2020, and it was in a paper form. It wasn't in electronic, and somehow it got lost, or it got with somebody who's no longer here. So we want to make sure that when we're giving these reports on a public record, that they are accurate, and that we're not putting people out there that are actually doing right. And for those who are not doing right, that we make sure that we report to you accurately so the proper enforcement can take place. So I agree. I think we can agree to split the baby here and say that, yes, for those that we know for sure that hasn't submitted something, that we can let you know that. But like I said, right now, you know, this is week 9 for me, and coordinating with other departments, other agencies, with EDC itself, to make sure that we have a good process and know what it is that our roles are. That is taking some time. And so I just ask for the grace there, but also understanding that what we know for sure was current and accurate in the database, that we can give you that. But outside of that, we wouldn't be able to submit you something with a clean face, bare face, to say, yes, this is accurate, you can rely on it.
And I would offer to help in any way I can.
Okay, we'll get you on payroll. We'll get you sent up to the city manager's office.
let me know when payday is. Okay. All right. Ed, are there any questions on the reports we have today? Do you want to go over those? I know Gabe has alluded to our CUP report. Are there any questions on the CUP? Remain. Any questions on the new and recertified firms for me? Bob Lohman had asked a question about the number that had been certified. So if there are no other questions, I'd like to ask on the other business, is there anyone in the audience who's not a part of this board, not a part of HRD, have any comments? Have any questions?
Yes, this is Jackie Maloney with Real Law. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
I've been listening in on the meeting, and I think it went pretty well. One thing that I noticed is that we only had 4 members of the board for the last couple of votes, and I just wanted to confirm that there was a quorum.
Yes, there was.
Because I think there's 10 members of the board.
No, there's not 10. HRD, were you given the number of board members and what constitutes a quorum?
There are 6 members and a chair. Quorum would be 4. We do have alternates.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Great. I just saw on the city clerk's website, it looked like there were 10 members listed, and I just wanted to make sure that we were all.
They're alternate positions, so you may have seen alternates listed.
Okay, great. That was my only thing.
All right. Thank you,
Chair.
Yes, Kate.
Mr. Chair, since Ms. Maloney
Yes,
brought it up, I'd like to point out, just for clarification, because I've been lectured on it in the past, that only those voting members, where each group is allowed 1 member per meeting, and that are allowed to ask questions, vote, and enter into discussions.
Okay. All right. Everyone take that to your knowledge and heart. If you're representing for your organization on any particular meeting, you'll be the representative speaking for your organization. Are there any questions on that? Well, if there are no other questions, our next board meeting is scheduled for July the 8th, 2020. This will adjourn the meeting for today. Thank you very much for all of those who participated. Have a good day.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks, Ray.
Thank you. You're welcome. Bye now.